Welcome back to the BNI Partners in Excellence show. My name is Andy, and today I have with me one of our newer members. This is Larry Baker with Farmers Insurance. Larry, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm super glad to have you in the chapter. I know that BNI has been part of your life, and you've been with Farmers for a long time now too. But I want to specifically talk about some things today regarding kind of insurance, also kind of who you're a good pairing with. But I also realize that most of our members are just now learning of your own backstory, like where you were raised, where you came from, as well as like when you got into insurance. So I would like to share that a little more broadly today. Is that okay? We start there? Does that sound good?
Let's go.
All right. So first of all, let's kind of set the stage. You're with Farmers.
Correct.
That's Farmers, not State Farm or any other farm. Do people confuse that a lot?
People confuse that all the time. I get, oh, so you're Larry with State Farm. No, I get all sorts of stuff, So yeah, they confuse State Farm with Farmers and everything. And I'm not sure if you've seen the new Farmers campaign.
I did. It just came out.
Yeah. So I don't like it, but but it's supposedly to kind of differentiate us, from State Farm because it's a completely different color that nobody really asked for, but it's different.
Pink.
It's pink.
It's pink.
It's pink.
That's a bold color to go with.
Yes.
I saw so because of the space I'm in the creative media space, I see a lot of like ad consultant agencies and people who follow marketing, and they were actually like dissecting the whole thing about why Farmers chose this color, and I'm like, okay, I get that, and it definitely seemed to be for differentiation first.
Correct.
Which it's definitely gonna do. I'm right now trying to think of other pink brands that I can't think of. I know there are. I know them too.
Pepto-Bismol?
Pepto-Bismol. If that color is giving you your tummy, if you're getting heartache because of the Farmer's new color, try Pepto-Bismol. Yeah, I know there's other pink color brands too. T-Mobile. That's what I was thinking of. T-Mobile's been pink forever.
There's actually another insurance that's pink as well. It's Lemonade.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Lemonade was an insurance. Let's be honest. I didn't know Lemonade was another insurance provider, but okay. That's what Andy knows. So Farmers just made this move, changing their color, rebranding, because people getting it confused. I know it's only kind of one reason on the list, but you've been with Farmers for a while. Let's talk about like how'd you even come to Farmers, and how'd you even get insurance?
Okay, so what had happened was I was working at UCSD, and I was working on the hospital side at UCSD, and basically what I did was my job was to bring people from wherever in the world to UCSD for medical treatment. So if you wanted to do cancer or cardiology or transplants, I was offering up UCSD as an alternative to, like, say, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, places like that. And what it is that U.S. hospitals don't really negotiate with foreign hospitals. They have to do it through TPAs, third-party administrators. So I would go and I would sign contract agreements with third-party administrators in Mexico, in Central America, South America, and then we branched out to the Middle East and to Asia. So I got a lot of health insurance coverage. I got a lot of health insurance knowledge. I did a lot of health insurance conferences and everything, and you get a lot of P&C, which is property and casualty. So unfortunately, everything kind of wrapped up at UCSD, and I was sitting there going, well, wow, didn't expect this, So I had actually had an uncle in Chicago that ran a State Farm agency for about 30 years, and he did really well with it. He won all sorts of awards. He has a couple apartment complexes, numerous houses, so he did really well with State Farm.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, this is interesting. Maybe I should, now that I'm kind of like indoctrinated into the insurance world, I should kind of, keep going with this. And I looked at State Farm and I didn't like the structure. I like the structure of Farmers because the difference between State Farm and Farmers is that as a Farmers agent, I own my own book. And as a State Farm agent, they're just employees of State Farm. So I said, okay, I like the structure better. So what I did was I went out, and the way Farmers is organized in, say, San Diego and all over the country as well, is we're based into different regions under different district managers. So I found one of the district managers here in San Diego, went to go and talk to him, and kind of went from there.
So how many years ago was that?
That was about 8, 9 years ago now.
Yeah, I am dating you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put time perspective. So how long were you doing the health part with UCSD before you became a farmer's agent, like take on your own agency? How many years were you doing that part? The TPA part?
The TPA part was about 6 years. With
6 years,
UCSD.
okay.
Yeah.
And so, but then your uncle in Chicago did 30 years at State Farm.
Correct.
Wow. So insurance is kind of like you were already exposed to it secondhand or in firsthand, I guess.
Yeah, I was exposed to it. I mean, I got a chance to sit down with my uncle a number of occasions and talk to him about insurance and talk to him about the agency and running the agency and things like that. So interesting enough, I think I'm the only one in the family that kind of went that way. Yeah, nobody else, not even his kids really went that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how do you? And I apologize if this is a naive question, but how do you talk to people? I'll just say policyholders.
Yes.
How do you talk to them in a manner where they understand that it's more than just this necessary evil? Because it feels like that, right? If you want to have your car registered in California, you must have insurance. So it's like this requirement on one hand, but it's also for your benefit and protection on the other. How do you approach those types of conversations when everyone knows we have to have it? And like you've taught us in the group, not everybody does. 1 in 5 people are uninsured motorists, and in the South Bay, it's 1 in 3 you just recently shared. So,
correct.
How do you approach those conversations with policyholders?
Okay, so one of the big things, and this actually came out today too, is that everybody has AI, everybody has Google, everybody looks up stuff now. So most of my time is actually explaining to people what they think they know about insurance. Because people will come to me and say, well, I have a friend, I have a relative, I saw this online, it should be like this. And it's my job to kind of explain to them the part or fill in the blanks as to what they don't know. And to just kind of, help to round out, their own knowledge. Because once they understand why they need to have insurance, then it becomes okay, so this is more than just a state requirement, or a mortgagee, requirement. I need to have this for, specific reasons.
Yeah. So what would you say is the biggest mistake that people are making when it comes to choosing their insurance policy?
I think the biggest mistake is that people think that A, all insurance companies are created equal, and B, that you're okay if you get the cheapest thing out there. And it really does you no good to have great home insurance. You have a nice home and everything is protected, and then you have cheap auto insurance. Because you get into an accident, somebody gets hurt, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to sue you and go after that nice home. So you want to make sure that you're protected all the way around with, higher limits and things like that,
So where does the umbrella policy strategy come into play when it comes to having home? Like if you're a homeowner and you have several autos, how does the umbrella policy fit into that? And can you explain that to people who maybe are hearing about that for the first time?
Okay, so an umbrella policy will extend the liability on top of your home and auto liability insurance. So say like you have a policy that's $250,000 in liability for your auto. The umbrella policy usually starts at $1 million. It'll extend it so you'll have $1 million too. So why is that important? That's really, really important because the average payout for a personal injury lawsuit in the state of California is around $400,000.
Oh, jeez.
So most people kind of think, okay, well, I don't need it. But what's going to happen is that you get sued, you lose, you're coming out of pocket for everything.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that immediately makes me want to ask about the uninsured motorist topic that we've been talking about too, or that you've been talking about with all of us in the chapter. Can you explain? I don't want to assume that everyone understands the inherent risk in waiving the uninsured motorist part of the policy, but let's talk about let's talk about the problem, just kind of black and white, paint the picture. What's the problem with UIM? Why aren't people getting it? Why should they have it?
Okay, so A lot of times when people get like, auto policies, they really, really try to get the bare minimum. And they're like, try to cut corners. And that's one of the things you really don't want to cut out of a policy. Because if you're in an accident and you get hurt and it's the other person's fault, then that other person's insurance usually pays for your medical treatment, your lost wages, your pain and suffering. If you don't have uninsured motorist coverage and that person does not have insurance, which, as we talked about here in South Bay, that's very, very, very likely, then you're going to be on the hook to pay for everything. Your own, you're going to be out of wages, you're going to be out of medical costs and everything else.
So you had mentioned that it's 1 in 3 motorists in South Bay are not insured at all.
1 in 3 in South Bay are not insured at all. That is correct.
That is, and is that I mean, I don't know if maybe you don't know this. Is that the highest in the county? Because I know you said that the average is like 1 in 5.
Yeah, it's the
But we're
highest.
1 in 3.
By far, it's the highest in the county, and it's actually, and believe it or not, it's getting better. It used to be a lot higher than that. We're talking like in the 90s and everything. The statistic was worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know that. I didn't know that because I didn't know that. So we also have to talk about what's going on just with homeowners insurance.
Sure.
It has been an absolute circus since like 2023. Maybe was it earlier than that in 22? When did it like really become a problem where
22.
people started backing out of California? All these major insurance carriers have like left the state. They're unlikely to return to the state. I know on other shows I've talked about this a lot. I've heard from a lot of people. It's been a while since I've been updated on some of those things and kind of know what's happening. What is the state of homeowners insurance in California right now, and how is Farmers helping?
Okay, so what happened is we have to go all the way back to I believe it's Proposition 103, where as an insurance provider in the state of California, you can apply for a rate increase. That rate increase is topped off at about 6.9%. And after that, you can, apply for another one, but it takes time. These rate increases should be going through in about 6 months, but they've been taking like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or in the case of say State Farm, just not approved at all. So what happens is then you have the Paradise fires up in Northern California, and then you have the Palisade fires and the Altadena fires, and the insurance companies are going, hey, we need these rate increases, because we can't keep up, because what happens is as an insurance company, you have reserves. And once you start getting into those reserves, that's what you use to pay claims. Once your reserve starts getting depleted, then you're no longer an insurance company.
Right. Well, that's an important point to make too, because the reserves is a requirement for operating in the state.
Correct.
So Larry and I are here talking about this, and there's the insurance commissioner, or the state board of insurance, or something like that. What's the agency?
Insurance commissioner.
The insurance commissioner that oversees this. So they have to approve these rate increase requests. And what I learned secondhand was that the cost of the material to replace what had been lost far exceeded that 6.9%. Like lumber went up 20% in one little period of time and like 40% at another. And it's like, well, then our the policy premium increases aren't keeping up, and they can't then recapture the amount to then even leave it in the coffer of the reserve account to then even maintain ability to stay in the state. So it becomes this like wicked cycle.
Correct.
And in the middle of all that is you got the insurance agencies themselves, you got the policy holders, the property, and you have the insurance commissioner. And there's like this gridlock where now you have a lot of people whose need is tapping into this reserve, which is then threatening their status with the commissioner. And you're also then relying on the commissioner to let you increase rates to recapture your reserve to be able to provide for the people.
That's correct. And that's a great synopsis too. I mean, that's basically what's happened in the state of California is that, companies got to the point where they just could not maintain the reserves. And they said, okay, if you don't let us increase the rates, then we're out. And that's what happened. You saw a lot of companies just drop. I've never seen 20 plus, I've seen drop over the past couple of years. And it's been some big companies. I mean,
major companies.
Yeah.
Farmers is gone. Allstate's gone.
No, State Farm.
Or State Farm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did it. You guys, I did the thing. I literally just did the thing. This is why the move to pink is for Andy. Guys like Andy. I said freaking Farmer. State Farm is gone.
Correct.
Nationwide has been gone for a long time,
Correct.
right? Allstate is now gone.
Allstate is gone.
What's another major that left? I know there's a lot of like mid-sized ones.
Kemper pulled out a lot.
Oh, really?
So Kemper, basically, they were doing Safeco. Safeco is
Yeah.
no longer.
Oh, Safeco's gone too.
Safeco's gone.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So another big one here in Southern California is Wawanesa. Wawanesa basically was subsidized by the Canadian government. Canadian government said, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. So Liberty actually bought them up.
That's crazy. Wawanesa had been here since I think the 50s, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So you guys have to fact check me in the comments. But I know they've been here, and they don't cover a lot of states in this United States. It was like I think California and one other, or maybe it was just California. I don't remember. But they weren't nationwide.
I think they covered a couple of states. You know,
Yeah.
but California was the major state they covered.
The only reason I know this is because my folks, when I was a child and I got my permit, they had Wawanesa auto coverage like since way back in the day, and that's the only reason I knew what Wawanesa was.
Yep.
and driving on the 805 North, you see the little sign on the building over
They had
there.
an office. They had an office in Mission Valley.
Yeah, it was there for a long time. I had an auto accident. I had to take my car there to get it. What do they call it when they look at all the damage?
The estimate.
The estimate. Yeah, they were doing the adjustment or the adjuster.
Yeah.
The adjuster. Okay. Look how much I know about insurance. Barely anything.
Actually, you know a lot. That's really good.
So the status is we have this gridlock situation. Homeowners and homeowners, policyholders, owners of cars. We have the agencies that need to increase their rate, and people will be quick to say, oh, because they're greedy capitalistic companies, but also they're required by law to have a reserve by the insurance commissioner. There's a lot of people that are aiming arrows at the insurance commissioner office, rightfully so in some opinion, from what I do know behind the scenes, and having had a couple of these conversations. How has Farmers stayed in the game?
So what Farmers did was they really diversified. So when you talk about Farmers, it's not just one company. Farmers is actually made up of a number of different companies. So we're made up of it's Farmers, and just in Farmers, you have, Truck, you have Mid-City, you have Farmers Insurance Group. I mean, there's a lot of companies within Farmers. But then beyond that, you have Bristol West, you have Foremost. So what they did was they diversified a lot of like products into different segments of their company. So like say us, for example, landlord policies. Farmers did not get the rate increases that they needed to maintain the landlord products, so we backed it into Foremost. So it's still there. It's still a Farmers company, but so things like that, and frankly, there's been a lot of cuts. There's been a lot of cuts over the past few years. I will say that under our new CEO, Raul Vargas, we have actually become solvent again. Not to get too insurance nerdy, but there's a thing called the, it's a ratio. Basically, it's a profitability ratio that they use to measure insurance companies. So if you are one point or over, then you're losing money. So basically, if you're like, say, your ratio is 1.05, that means for every dollar you take in, you're losing 5 cents. And that's where we were actually, for a while, we were at 1.21, I believe.
Ooh.
So we were losing money on every policy.
Oh, man,
Today,
that's a lot.
The ratio is about 0.86.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a huge change.
So I will say that they've taken, it's been some drastic measures they've taken, but it's been paying off.
Right.
So all of a sudden now our profitability ratios are looking really good.
Yeah.
So we can offer products again, and we actually never stopped. We were capped for a while offering home products, but we never stopped offering products in California. And it has to do with Farmers is the only major California-based insurance company, because State Farm is, I believe they're in Illinois. Allstate is back east as well.
Yeah. So let's talk specifically about the Farmers and Fair program.
Yes.
So for people who don't understand what California Fair is, can you
Yes.
explain that and then explain the relationship between California Fair and farmers and how those are coupling right now to help people get coverage for their properties?
Okay. So the FAIR plan is basically the insurer of last resort. This is, say you can't get insurance for some places. You're in a high fire zone, and that happens a lot. Like here in San Diego County, it's if you're in the North County inland. So if you're in Escondido, places in San Marcos, if you're out in Jamul,
Like Valley Center,
Valley
Alpine,
Center,
yeah.
Alpine, things like that.
Mhm.
These are high fire zones, and most insurers don't want to actually do anything in those areas. So they have to turn to the FAIR plan, and that's through the state of California. Now, what people don't understand about the FAIR plan is the FAIR plan is actually propped up by all the insurance companies in the state of California. So every company that you've heard of gives money to the FAIR plan. And right now, the FAIR plan is really, really, really close to becoming insolvent in terms of what they have insured versus what they have in reserves. So it's going to take a large commitment from the insurance companies to kind of get the FAIR plan back in shape. Right now, it's not there. They haven't really stopped any policies. They haven't really held up any claims or anything like that, but it's moving in that direction. So, and unfortunately, Cal Fire they redraw the fire zones every year, and it's just getting worse. I mean, areas like San Ysidro that never was a fire zone. Now
That got
it is.
added?
That got added.
San Ysidro's now in a high fire risk
San
zone?
Ysidro is now in the high fire zone.
Oh, shoot. Wow.
Yeah. And every year you see here in Chula Vista, it kind of creeps. It just creeps a little bit further more west.
Yeah. It's eventually going to get to the sand.
It eventually get to the sand.
Well, so something else I had learned about the FAIR program is it is literally supposed to be the option of like last resort.
Yes.
Because you have these hundreds of insurance providers throughout the state, large, mid, and small, who can write insurance. But then the compounding problem is that the California FAIR plan is a basket of money that every insurance provider is contributing to.
Yes.
But then when those people leave the state, that means that their contributions are gone too. So that basket of money has changed and dwindled at the same time that the need for it to be providing, let's say, subsidized policy support for the main provider has increased. So you have increased demand with a lower supply of basket of money.
Correct.
And it's getting harder to write.
It's getting harder to write. And here's another problem too with the FAIR plan. The FAIR plan will only cover you for fire coverage. So if you have a fire in your home, it'll cover that. If you have anything else happen, if you have water leak, if you have theft, if you have not wind, because the FAIR plan will cover you for wind, but if you have vandalism, if you have liability, all the things that a normal home policy covers, they are not covered under the FAIR plan. So there are many people right now that have a FAIR plan by itself and think, okay, I'm covered, and you're not.
So how does farmers work with that then? So all these things you're mentioning the FAIR does not cover, is that where you guys are stepping in and you're
Correct.
covering all those things in the policy?
That is correct. So farmers, it's called a DIC policy, difference in conditions. So usually you have like things that are covered, like I said, you have fire, water damage, wind, hail, vandalism, theft, liability. Those things are covered under your normal policy. So under the FAIR plan will cover fire and it'll cover wind if you add it. And so farmers will come in and say, okay, we'll cover everything else. Everything else that should be covered, we're going to cover that.
So are the policy timeframes the same? Like, do they have like the same initiation date and the same expiration or renewal dates, or how do you keep all that in sync? And do people talk to you about that, or do I have to talk to you about the farmer's part, and then I have to go and talk to someone at FAIR about the FAIR part?
No, it actually would. We would do both parts.
Okay,
And
so you're
generally
still a
speaking,
single point of contact.
Yes. So generally speaking, we try to run the policies concurrent. It doesn't make any sense to run like, say, one date, for one and another date for another, So we try to run them concurrent. And it didn't used to be this way, but like now farmers, underwriters will look at the FAIR plan and they'll look at it every year to make sure that it renews, that, you're still paying it. because if that policy goes away, then your farmer's policy will go away too.
How often are you having these kinds of conversations with customers?
Mm, it used to be daily. I would say now weekly.
Daily?
Yeah,
Oh my god!
because what'll happen is that, like, say you have say you're out in like a mall, and you have a decent sized property, and the property, the farmer's policy is going to cost you like maybe say $3,000 for the year. Well, the fair plan might cost you $2,000. So now you're paying $5,000. So what is the thing that people like to do? Well, I just won't pay this policy. I won't pay the fair plan policy, and I'll let that one go. Well, you're not covered.
Oh,
Or
man.
they'll let the farmer's policy go. And while fire is a big thing, usually the thing that happens to most houses is water.
So talk about that then. So what do
So-
you expand on that?
So basically, water damage is more prevalent than any other claim that you could ever have. And that's a pipe breaking. That's something that, happened, something, you were installing something like a garbage disposal or something, and you broke something, and all of a sudden now you have water everywhere. That's more common. That's a lot more common than getting fire damage. Yes, you get fire damage, especially if you talk about things like we talked about, like the Palisades, like, Altadena, and that's horrible, but it's much more common to have water damage. And where you'll see especially water damage is in condos, because condos, you have shared walls, you have shared pipes, so you'll have water damage, and now you're playing it's your fault, it's my fault, it's the HOA's fault, it's.
Oh man, yeah, you're playing hot potato with liability.
Correct.
Liability hot potato. Before we get off of the fair program, I wanted to ask you a question for your opinion.
Sure.
What is going to change this? Like, what will make this better? Because the California Fair Plan was never supposed to be an option. It was supposed to be an option of last resort.
Yes.
But now I heard a statistic, and I wish I should have brought my citation with me to the show. I heard it's the third largest provider in the state now, and
Correct.
it's not supposed to be
No,
at
that is
all.
correct.
It's supposed to be like at the bottom of the list after you turn to the very last page, and there's no other names after it. Should be California Fair, and it's the third largest provider in the state now. That's insane. What do you think is going to help get us back in a direction where there's a better balance between how much the fair plan is relied on and maybe even some companies returning to California? I have no idea why they would even do that at this point since they pulled out, but give me your opinion on all that.
Okay, so to kind of look at what's going on in California, you have to kind of look at Texas. Texas is basically in the same boat that California is. It's just Texas is about maybe 5 years down the road from where California is today. So right now in Texas, the average home policy is around $5,000-$6,000 for a year. So what it's going to take is to get to about $5,000 to $6,000. That's what the market wants to be. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody likes it, but that's what's going to have to happen. And it's going. I mean, every year you're seeing when I first started with farmers, you could do a home policy for about $1,000 a year.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
$79 a month or $89 a month, and you're like good for the whole year.
Correct.
It's not even close anymore, man.
No,
You're
not
talking about
even close.
$500 a month.
Yes. That's where the market wants to be. It's not quite there yet. I'll say the market today is about $2,500 to $3,000.
So, but I'm going to go back to the whole request to have premiums increased at 6.9%. So, statistically speaking, going from $1,000 a year premium to $5,000 or $6,000 a year is a multiple hundredfold increase, not a percent, not 6.9%. So, has there been an approval given that there's like a one time or a single case to increase and just jump to those rates, or
No.
are we going to be playing catch up for the next decade?
We're going to be playing catch up for the next decade, unfortunately.
Dude.
Because what's going on is that there are caps that the insurance company can raise your rates every year. Now, there's different things that, insurance companies do. I mean, they'll do like a product refresh. They'll do different things. They'll offer new products at different, out there. But no, they're capped at the amount of increase they could do per year. So even though some people, may go from, say, like $1,500 to $2,500, it's still capped, and it's still under where the market wants to be. So yeah, we're going to be playing catch up for a while, and it's
Man,
the sad truth, you know.
what would fix that? Like a one-time exception, or is it? And I don't want to. I don't want to be part of the complaint corner, just saying that this is the insurance commissioner issue, because I know it's not. Because you also need insurance providers at the table too, like working out something. Because you have these huge companies that have left California,
Correct.
and now have left the problem, I'll say, to everyone else. And so, but at some point, I don't know where it's lack of accountability or pressure at the insurance commissioner. These are just my words, not, I don't want to speak for you, but like, what would fix this in your opinion?
It's gonna have to be a matter of like you're gonna have to go with rate increases, obviously, and you're also gonna have to deal with different legislation. We have a new insurance commissioner that's going to be coming on board. The current commissioner, Ricardo Lara, is termed out this year. So we have a number of people that are running for the commissioner. There was a great person, Stacey Korsgarden. She was a former Farmers agent. She was running on the Republican side, but unfortunately, she did not make the primaries. So we're going to have to see what the new commissioner coming in is going to kind of regulate. Because if they do the status quo, we're not going to advance at all. We're
Yeah,
going to be in the same exact point that we are.
We'll be having the same conversation 10 years down the road with 6.9% increases every 6 months or longer, because it can't be any quicker than 6 months from what I was told.
Yes.
You can only request the increase every 6 months, and then that's the request. That's not the approval for it. That's
That is
the
correct.
request. So you can only request the increase every 6 months and up to 6.9%. That doesn't catch us up to a 500% catch-up provision that needs to happen over 5 or 10 years or whatever.
That's correct.
Like, I'm not that good at math, but I'm not bad at math either. That's crazy.
Well, let me give you a worst case scenario. Right now, farmers agents in the state of Texas can't sell farmers products for homes.
Why?
Because they don't have the increases they need.
Oh, because they can't even offer it to provide the coverage that you'd need for someone to say yes.
Yeah, so
Holy crap.
farmers agents in the state of Texas right now have to sell in the surplus market. So basically what they have to do is they have to sell things that from, again, not get into insurance crazy, you know, they have to sell through non-admitted carriers. And that's just the norm there.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
We are trying not to get there here in the state of California, but it's becoming more and more prevalent.
More likely?
Yeah. So
Like, how far off do you think this is? Is it like 12 months or more like 24, 36?
no, more like 24, 36.
Okay.
Because like, so right now, if I want to do like a high value home, I'm usually in the, and I'm talking like, 5 million plus. If I'm doing a 5 million plus home, and again, we're talking home reconstruction, not home value, because that's a difference there. Because if you're talking about home value, if somebody buys a home for like, say, $10 million, the actual home on that land may only be worth about $2 million.
Right.
So that's what you're paying, for insurance to reconstruct that home.
Mm-hmm.
And then people get that confused because they think, well, if I pay $10 million, I want, a $10 million policy.
Yeah.
And the reason why you don't want that is because if somebody were to give you that policy and your whole house burned down, you're expecting a check for $10 million. You're going to get a check for $2 million and not be a happy camper.
Yeah, you're still going to get it for whatever the replacement cost is. Yeah,
Correct.
Based on the market pricing at the time. But
But,
this is also the problem when
yes.
lumber shot through the roof a couple of years ago and lumber
Correct.
was up 40%. It's like, well, wait a minute. My policy doesn't even cover the amount that I'm supposed to get just for the lumber to be here, let alone the labor and all the things that are going to have to go be put back in their place that's being replaced.
Oh, no, and that's actually a huge problem that was kind of uncovered during the Palisade fires. There was a lot of people who, and I talked to them. I think I lost about 2 homes out of my book in the Palisades fires. A lot of people up there were really woefully uninsured.
Oh, man.
Or underinsured, I should say. And I saw people getting checks for like, say, $300,000, and I knew it wasn't going to happen.
For a house in the Palisades?
For a house in the Palisades. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're not going to be able to rebuild.
That's going to be like their permitting fees.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So
what are they gonna? What do they do? They're
What's
just out unless they have cash to like cover the gap. Like,
Correct.
how are they gonna get a house built there again?
they're not.
That's sad,
Officially,
man.
they're
That's
not.
sad.
And what's going to happen is they're going to end up selling pennies to a dollar to some developer out there. They're going to pocket their $300,000, sell on pennies to the dollar, and go move someplace else.
Wow. And it's been like what, a year and a half already?
Yes.
Yeah, a year and a half, huh?
Yes.
I don't think, has anything even been rebuilt? I don't know. I'm
No.
sorry, I don't need to put you on the spot. I don't know if anything's even been started over there. Has anything been rebuilt in that neighborhood?
No, it's basically it's a lot of people like fighting over permits at this point. So it hasn't reconstruction has not even started really.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so what I can say in terms of farmers, we looked at every policy, and as a company, we looked at every policy and said, okay, some of these policies, we have to go ahead and increase the reconstruction cost. And in some cases, it has to be drastic. So some people got some really, large increases, but it was necessary because we didn't want to have anybody in that position where they don't have enough to rebuild.
Yeah. So, and this, I'm so glad you said it that way, because I feel like that I didn't set this up properly to explain to people. The increase in the policy can be commensurate to the increase of the coverage amount beyond 6.9%.
Correct.
So the policy increases that's commensurate to what's being offered is capped at 6.9%, right?
That is correct.
But if you go from a $250,000 coverage to $1 million coverage, your policy is going to proportionally increase on the premium side by more than that 6.9%.
That's also correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I wanted to make that abundantly clear, because people are like, wait a minute, my policy went from $1,000 to $5,000. That's more than 6.9%. That's, your coverage is dramatically increasing as well. So thank you for the PSA there.
So that's the state that we're in today now. I mean, it's getting better, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
So at this point, if we're going to talk about a State Farm, and there's been a lot of internal things that have happened to them lately as a company that, I just don't see them coming back in California.
Yeah.
They haven't officially announced that they're not going to come back, but if you talk to the agent on the street and you look out there, there's no real reason for them to come back.
I was having this conversation offline with some other friends that are in kind of insurance and finance, and I was asking the question and making the point, like, what would have to be done to even compel them to consider coming back? And my immediate answer was, I'm not even sure our state cares. And that's more, I think, a posture of where my heart is at. Like, as I cover my heart and admit it, like I don't know that they would even provide an incentive that's great enough for them to risk the liability of returning to California market.
Yeah,
because the margin or the profitability or the ability to even sustain a presence in California would have to be so great that you couldn't say no. I just don't know if they're going to put that on the table. I just don't trust that policy-wise. I don't mean policy, insurance policy, like politically.
Yes.
I don't think there's enough pressure for that to be the case where they'd set the stage good enough for carriers to come back, which then puts homeowners in the back seat again.
correct.
Completely at the mercy of commissioner decision. Companies are willing to play or not play. And then what are our options? Okay, we have our providers in town like Larry and Farmers. We got the fair program, blending those together. Those are our choices. And then we're going to be at $5,000 and $6,000 policies every
Correct.
year.
Yeah, and like I said, something that I mentioned before is that all insurance companies are not created equal. And unfortunately, there's a lot of companies out there that will do whatever to try not to pay a claim. And that's one of the biggest things that kind of drew me to Farmers, is because I had Farmers before. I had 21st Century, which is a Farmers company. And I've been dealing with Farmers in one way or another for the past 30 plus years. And Farmers really will go out on a ledge to try to say, okay, how can we pay this claim? As opposed to, no, we're just not doing it. And that's been a big help, And to me, I have Farmers, I have Farmers still. And it's a real big benefit to say, look, this is what I'll do. This is what I suggest to my family. So, take that as you will.
Mm-hmm. What for you, what has been the most rewarding part of being part of the Farmers family and being in insurance?
Really just seeing people when they hit their lowest, and then being able to do something for them. So to be able to cut a check for them when they need it, that's been great. Because we deal in all sorts of types of insurance. I mean, any type of insurance you could possibly think of, we do. And it's really a great feeling when you can offer a family something whereas everybody else is like, oh, well, too bad, sorry. And we can actually cut them a check. We can actually get things for them. If you talk about the Palisades, Farmers has these mobile response units, and they roll up there, these big giant RVs, and they provide food, they provide water, they provide internet coverage, they provide telephone, service. And it doesn't matter if you're a Farmers customer or not. And they cut checks there too for Farmers customers. So it was just really great. I mean, and we got a chance to man those, to help out up in the LA area.
I heard about that, but you were there.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. What was that? What was that like firsthand? I mean, I don't want to make assumptions. So what was that like, being in the middle of that absolute destruction and chaos while also meeting people in their desperation?
It's just a surreal thing, I mean, because it's something out of a movie, when you look at the destruction that was up there. And you think, wow, I've seen homes burned down before. I've never seen neighborhoods burned down. So it's just, you're like, wow, you're kind of in awe. And like I said, to be able to reach out to people, to talk to them, to try to, give them some advice as to how to go on. We had a number of Farmers agents that lost offices, lost homes, lost everything. So it really hit home for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, it really puts you like, this is, I don't mean any disrespect to the people that lost their house. Like, you have a front row seat to like the exact thing that you're helping provide for people.
Correct.
And you're in the middle of the mess alongside them, losing everything and not being able to do anything. You can't fix it. You can't go just snap your fingers and go 24 hours prior where there wasn't a fire and there was a home there. But what has that changed something for you by seeing it front and center?
It's changed a lot for me. I mean, because it really makes me like, become centered as to why am I doing this? Because, you think, okay, well, I'm going to, do this kind of career and everything. And you really, really have to want to help people. And you really want to be able to work with people to be able to do this, because every day we're dealing with people. You've dealt with mortgage people before. You've dealt with real estate people before. Okay, usually they come in, they'll work with somebody, they'll sell the house, they'll get the loan, and then that's it. And we're the ones who kind of stay there. We're the ones who are just there year after year, just kind of going over everything. Okay, is everything good? Does anything need to be updated? What's going on now with you? And so we're the ones that kind of follow their lives, and they're kind of, with us as well.
Do you have a favorite customer story, without like saying who they are, of course?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite customer story that sticks out to you in a way you were able to demonstrate and be of that like deep service to somebody?
Mm-hmm. So a number of stories. So one on the home side is that I have a customer up in Reno, and they have just huge snows that come up. Every year they get these big snows that come up. And this particular customer had like a bunch of snow that built up on the house. So it just was a complete collapse. I mean, the floor dropped out of their, the foundation dropped out of their house and everything. And they had to redo everything in the house. It was like, wow. I mean, I want to say it was, I think we hit about $300,000 in that claim.
Oh, geez.
And the house wasn't a total loss, but it was really close. And we were able to like get people up there in the snow to go back and assess everything, and to go up and actually get them whole and get them right again. So now every year, this is a lady that actually is, I think she's like 83 right now. And she lives up there by herself, up the side of a mountain, which was, I drove up there one time, and it's literally up the side of a mountain. It's great. I mean, every year she sends me like Christmas cards now and everything, because we were able to get her back. We were able to fix her home to where now it's livable. Now everything is back to where it should be. That was a great feeling, because it would have been easier to say like, hey, here's the 800 number, call them. But no, actually, it was something that we followed. We had to actually get people out of Sacramento to go up and drive up there to adjudicate the claim and everything.
Wow.
And then, like I said, I actually drove up there myself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Do you have a specific like market you're looking for right now? I mean, people that are in
Mhm.
our chapter, of course, are watching this show, but anyone else who might be watching this and learning more about you and learning more about how Farmers is still providing insurance in the state of California, do you have like a box to draw? Like these are the kinds of people or situations that we're covering all the time, like your bread and butter kind of stuff. What would that be? Let's talk about that.
So, my ideal customer would be somebody who has a home, has autos. I mean, because, if you have a home, you're probably going to have autos. And maybe you have toys. Maybe you have like a motorcycle, an RV, things like that. Because our policies tend to work well together in terms of the bundling discounts and everything like that. So the more we can like bundle together, the better price that I can get you on the overall package. So those are the ideal customers. Yes, I will take somebody that just has a home or just wants to do their auto, but the more stuff they have, the more stuff we can bundle together, that's a really ideal customer for me, because that way you're getting our best prices.
Hmm. And so, indirectly, what are some of the other people in and around business that are talking to those kind of customers before they get referred to you? What are some good referral partners for you that are in even either related or even maybe unrelated industries
Sure.
that are constantly hovering around those types of those profiles for you?
So I'll say our natural markets are real estate agents, because they always need to like have insurance before closing a loan. Mortgage brokers, same reason. Property inspectors, property managers. Those are people that are really they're constantly kind of looking around and trying to get insurance options. Generally speaking, they're trying to work within different parameters. Saying like, okay, well, our loan has to fit this parameter. Can you make the insurance fit into this parameter as well? And so yeah, that we're good at doing that. Those are the people that I would say mostly that we deal with. But interestingly enough, it's really there's nothing that anybody had that you can see most people out there. Anybody you want to come across in the street, and they have something that we sell. So because people will come to me and say, "Well, I'm not sure how I can refer you customers because everybody I know has insurance." I said, "Yeah, well, because it'd be weird if they didn't."
But to your point earlier, like in some cases, if they're underinsured and they don't know it,
Correct.
that's where it's like, hey, let's do a policy review.
Yes.
And let's look at, oh, you are underinsured in this area, or even just to have peace of mind at the end of the day, you're fine. Like
Hmm.
you're fine, you're good to go. Or if you're not fine and you are in a higher liability area, and maybe that umbrella policy, I'm gonna go all the way back to that.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have an umbrella policy and they should,
Yep.
or they could. Especially if the replacement limits are too low, or the values are too low on the replacement side or the liability and coverage side. I see the gaps are growing, and I think that's why I wanted to ask about that, because again, even my own firsthand experience and secondhand through our broad network of people in these services or in these other classifications of industry, the gaps are becoming bigger.
Yes.
I don't see them getting smaller, and that's why. That's also why I have a little bit of an elevated intensity in today's conversation. Is I just see them getting bigger because I also have my own insurance, and I also talk to people about it because of the various shows we do here. And I don't see yet a path forward where the gaps are re-narrowing again. They
Hmm.
just seem to be getting bigger at various rates of speed.
So let's go back to the first thing you said. I will always review somebody's policy to see if it makes sense. And sometimes it does. Sometimes there's some really, well-written policies out there. And I'll tell you, look, like say State Farm. State Farm's loyalty discount, if you've been with them for years, is actually pretty good. So if I look at it, I'll review it and I'll kind of go through point by point. And if it makes sense, I'll tell you that it makes sense. Don't change it. Leave it as it is. If it doesn't make sense, if I notice there are gaps there, then yeah, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to point out the gaps to you, and I will suggest different things to you. Now, Farmers is a strange company in terms of, I'm sure you know this, but you know that you understand the concept of captive agent versus a broker.
Yes.
Okay. So a captive agent is say State Farm. State Farm can only sell what State Farm sells. That's it. They cannot sell anything else. A broker usually is somebody that signed up with multiple companies. Farmers, and our CEO actually quoted this term, we're a captive broker. So we're actually we can, first and foremost, we sell farmers and we sell farmers products. But for whatever reason, if you don't fit into farmers, then I can sell you almost any other type of insurance you want to look at. I can sell Progressive. I can sell Liberty. There was a time that I could sell Allstate until they stopped selling. So I can do a lot of things that that anybody does, but the difference between, like, say, myself and a broker is that they can't sell farmers.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you have your own off the shelf home products playing for the home team, and then plus all the broker channels
Correct.
as well. Yeah.
So that's the nice thing, and that's what we can offer to people, and that's what I tell people when I sit down and look at them, because not everybody fits into farmers for whatever reason. I mean, you could have something there, like, say, for example, okay, on an auto policy, and we're really close to the border. If you have a Mexican license, you cannot go into farmers, but I can put you into another farmer's product, and that's no problem.
Okay.
So it's things like that.
And then is it if you only have a Mexican license, or if you have a Mexican and California license, would you
No.
qualify?
Yeah, you qualify for farmers if you have a California license.
Got it. So if you only have a
If
Mexican
you
license,
only have a
that's
Mexican license, then yeah, I can put you into a farmer's product, but I can't put you into farmers per se.
got it. Understood. And then what about going south of the border?
Yes.
Is there coverage for people who have farmers auto coverage? How does
Yes.
that work and how far into the border? Talk about that for a minute.
Okay, so
Now that we landed on that.
yeah. So basically what it is that a farmer's policy will cover you up to 75 miles across the border. So you're looking at it roughly about Ensenada. It used to be 50, so you were talking about Puerto Nuevo before, but now it's down to about Ensenada. Now, that only covers you for your vehicle. So if you get into an accident or your vehicle gets stolen, it'll cover you for that vehicle. Now, again, most people don't know this, but Farmers is owned by a company by the name of Zurich. Zurich is a large company out of Germany, and they do insurance. So I also sell Zurich Mexico insurance. So I can cover the liability and everything else under Zurich. And it's a fairly inexpensive policy. So we can round it out and give you farmers all the way through. So you'll be covered on any kind of damage that happens or any kind of injury that happens to somebody else.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really especially great for people who are traveling to Mexico often or frequently for work or pleasure, right?
Yes.
Going past Ensenada.
Correct.
Get past that. You get up to 75 and then beyond.
Correct. Yeah, because what happens is, like, it's say if you have you get into an accident in Mexico and somebody gets hurt and you don't have Mexican insurance, it's a jailable offense.
Yeah. Well, since we're now talking about Mexico, I literally learned before the show that you lived in Mexico 2 different times.
Well, over not 2 different times actually. So all in all, I've lived in Guadalajara, Monterrey, and Mexicali. I've lived in Mexico off and on for the better part of 22 years now.
You have to tell everyone this story. How did this transpire? What was going on that you lived that composite of 22 years in Mexico?
Well, what happened was I was born in Chicago, but my mother's maiden name is Estrada because she was born in Mexico City. And so I understood and knew Spanish from when I was young, but I couldn't read or write. So I remember asking my mother, wow, I want to learn and read and write in Spanish. So she said, okay. So she sent me to go live down with family in Guadalajara. And so I went to grade school in Guadalajara, part of grade school in Guadalajara with everybody else. And the strange thing is that if you come from Mexico to here, they usually drop you a grade because of the language. If you come from here to Mexico, they drop you 2 grades because of the language and the studies. So I had a chance to actually do that. And I went to part of grade school in Mexico. And then I came back to it's not San Diego, but Northern California. And I went to high school up in Pleasanton, up in Northern California. and then I came down to San Diego State. And after San Diego State, I ended up working for a while here in San Diego, but then I wanted to get a master's degree. So I started half of my master's degree at Thunderbird out in Phoenix, Arizona. And I did the second half of my master's degree in Monterrey, Mexico. And I actually lived and worked in Monterrey for about 2 years. I was actually working for AT&T down in Monterrey, Mexico.
So you speak fluent insurance and fluent Spanish.
I speak fluent insurance and fluent Spanish.
I did not know that until today. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those strange things that, if I'm in Mexico, I'll use my whole name, which is Larry Baker Estrada. But here, people get confused and they say Mr. Estrada, so I had to drop that and just say Baker.
Like, who are you talking to? It's Larry. It's still me.
Still me.
What was your favorite part about living in Mexico?
Oh boy. It was a big culture change, because I went from living in Chicago on the south side of Chicago. So everybody looked like me. Everybody looked like me. And then I went to live in Pleasanton where nobody looked like me.
Right.
And then I went to live down in Mexico where again it was like just totally different. So it's just the shifts were really interesting.
Yeah.
And
stark contrast and all those cultures.
I got a chance to contrast and do different things, and it helped me to really understand how people think and how people think, here, how people think outside of here, and in different mindsets. And it's something that I just treasure today, because right now, I'll say my Chula Vista office is about maybe 5 minutes from the border. My Calexico office is about 2 blocks from the border.
Wow.
So
that's close.
So we deal with the Hispanic community, not almost exclusively, but we have that's a large part of our clientele.
Yeah. Well, so interestingly, in a kind of opposite way, I grew up down here in South Bay, but my last name is Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Mexican.
Ah.
It's my dad's family's all from Guam. And because Guam used to be owned by Spain, a lot of Spanish influences there, and so we have the Cruz last name. But I'm light, and so I don't look like anything. I think that's what I was gonna say. I don't think I look like anything.
No, it's the same as like
I don't fit in anywhere, Larry.
No,
I'm bald and I'm paler than my Pacific Islanders, and I'm darker than the Caucasians.
No, but that happens too with the Filipino culture here too.
Yeah,
a lot of them have for the same reason. A lot of them have Hispanic last names.
Yeah. So people will try to speak Spanish to me, and I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know how to reply in Spanish as good. I speak like elementary Spanish at best. It's not fluent at all. Please don't ask me any questions in Spanish. Dang it, I set myself up. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean now it's actually become a lot more popular after the World Cup. With Julian Quiñones.
Oh man, I loved how. I loved how people experienced the World Cup this year.
Yes.
It was so vibrant and lively, and just seeing so many different people from all their team's nation come to watch soccer and support their team. And then the cross experience of culture sharing was so fun to watch.
Yes.
I loved it. What was are you a soccer fan already? I'm sorry, football fan?
Not really. I was always kind of, football, U.S. football.
Yeah.
Because another really weird fact is that way back when my father actually was drafted for the Chargers.
No kidding.
Yeah. But he blew his knee out. And he was playing for Northwestern, and he blew his knee out, and he couldn't go.
Wow. When was this?
Oh, this is back in the 60s.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is back in the 60s.
That's pretty cool.
So it, coming out here, I was a big Chargers fan, and then when they left, not so much.
Oh, you're going to start fights in our room. Jason Turner is a massive Raiders fan. Did you know this?
I did not know that.
I don't know, Jason. I don't know. Something about bankruptcy and being in the black hole. I don't know. Something like that, man.
But you mentioned soccer. So,
oh, yeah.
Basically what happened was my kids started playing AYSO. and they really got into that. They're both older now, but I went to all their games, and then I started refereeing in some of the games. Then I started doing some coaching for their games, so it got me a lot more into it.
So hold on. So you've got a black and white shirt.
Yes.
You have a whistle.
Yes.
And you got high, tall socks?
Yep.
Come on, Larry. We're gonna have dress up day at BNI, and you're gonna come as a referee, and I'm gonna have to come up with something funky to wear. So how long did you ref?
Oh, it wasn't that long. It's probably like 3 years.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It was fun because I really enjoyed the fact that both of my kids really enjoyed it a lot. It was like I didn't really understand the sport. I knew it cursory. I didn't understand things like offsides and stuff. Still don't really understand offsides in soccer, but it made a lot. It made me really like look at the game in a different way.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I just have to say I've really enjoyed learning so much more about you. We had already met because of BNI connections prior to even you being in Partners in Excellence. I know you were in another chapter, and then you ended up applying for our group because that chapter was disbanded, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, and then those members all went somewhere else to wherever they could find an open classification. And
Correct.
we're so excited to have welcome you into our group. I think you're going to be a great addition to our chapter. Your wealth of knowledge, your depth of experience, you're well traveled. I did not even know until today you're fluent in Spanish. Like all these things just are adding up. And I'm also really grateful to have someone in our group from Farmers, just to be candid, because you're providing support to people in California still, and because you're matching with the FAIR plan. I think that that's going to do well for the company as a whole.
Yes.
Big picture for long term, or as long as possible.
No, well, the thing about Farmers is that, as a California-based company, we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, California makes up the vast majority of agents in Farmers. I'll say we're about 30% of the Farmers agency force across the country.
Wow, just California, and then the other
Just
66% is, or what is 60 or 70% is all the other states combined?
That's correct.
Wow, that's a pretty dense population.
Yes.
Of agents. Wow.
There's a bunch of us.
Yeah. I am so glad that you came in today, but I want to ask you a couple of last questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
So I've asked this to everybody, and I want to know your answer too.
Okay.
If you could have share a meal with somebody dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, boy. I'd have to say my dad. We lost him back in 2009, and it would be great to kind of compare and contrast, my life now as opposed to my life then. And those are conversations I would love to have, with him. So I would probably say that.
That's a good answer. Thank you for sharing that. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, and I've asked this to everybody else as well, is if I hand you a microphone and you're in an arena with 100,000 people and you get to thank somebody, I'm sure there's plenty of people in your life, even your father you just mentioned,
Yes.
that you want to say thank you to. Pick one person to say thanks to. What would you want to tell them?
Oh, wow. So
Who would you pick?
Oh, that's a good question. Who would I pick? Because there's a lot of people. I really want to thank my wife, because insurance is interesting when you've been doing insurance for a while. Insurance, when you're first starting insurance, is no fun at all. Because what most people don't understand is that we don't really make a lot on any one policy. And I remember my first check from Farmers was like $40. And having her put up with me for that time, while everything was kind of building up, and really she never had a negative comment. She always was kind of really supportive. So to kind of go back to looking back where I am now as opposed to where I was then, that support really meant everything.
That's awesome. Why don't you tell everybody how they can connect with you and contact you directly if they want to reach out?
Sure. So I can be reached. My office is on 3rd Avenue in between Moss and Naples. So if you're driving down 3rd Avenue, we're right across the street from Choose Fitness, right next to a Starbucks. So we're there. If you're ever out in the Imperial County, we're in Calexico off of Imperial Avenue. So right down by the border. and love to have you stop by. We can get some coffee. We could talk insurance or anything else.
And then what's the best way for people to reach you if they're remote and they just want to get a policy quote or they want to have you do a policy review? Should they call the office? Should they email you? What's the best way to connect digitally?
You can call the office. That's probably the fastest way because I'm usually in and out. So if you call the office, that would go really quickly. The number there is 619-432-7967. So if you were to call the office, and we have the office phone system set up so it rings in Chula Vista and it also rings in Calexico. So if you were to call there in either or, then we can help you out. I am licensed in California, Arizona, and Nevada. So anything you need, insurance wise in any of those three places, then I can definitely help you out.
Awesome. Larry, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Thank you for being a wonderful addition to BNI Partners Excellence. I'm really excited about the future, despite my criticisms and my very overt challenges with the insurance commissioner and insurance and that whole relationship. Thank you for tolerating that part of today's conversation. I appreciate it, and I'm very excited about our future together in the chapter. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching the BNI Partners and Excellence show. If you would like to expand your network and get more business through qualified referrals, you can come and network with Larry, myself, and the rest of the crew at BNI Partners and Excellence every Wednesday at 7 a.m. down at the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita. That's right, the Chula Vista Golf Course down in Bonita. If you'd like to register yourself as a visitor for an upcoming meeting, you can click in the description box below to visit the link to register yourself and your business as a visitor for an upcoming meeting. Click that link down in the box below. And if you're looking to reach Larry directly for an insurance quote, a policy review, or any insurance general question that you want to get his advice and counsel for, you'll find his contact information also in the description box below. Thank you for tuning in for this week's special episode with one of our newest members of BNI Partners Excellence. We look forward to seeing you next week with another great guest.